Dinarland highlights April 12, 2020. Frank 26, Catfer. The CPI will replace the currency that they've got right now, 3 zeros or the old and worn lower dinars. They have printed new currency. They say they did it already. They say they're going to coexist. I think this week we're going to really get a lot of powerful trickle-down information. More and more is coming from the CPI. Notice where it's all leading to a finale of the monetary reform. I think there's so much going on. It's exciting. It's incredible. And I'm very happy. Trump took Iraq and divvied it up, and it's all over this planet. A lot of countries are depending on the reinstatement of the Iraqi dinar, let alone you as an individual. Jeff. Iraq held 2 currency auctions this week, and they backdated them by 3 weeks. To Wednesday 3/18 and Thursday 3/19. Why did they have those 2 currency auctions? They pulled a fast one right under everyone and no one caught it. The reason why they only had 2 currency auctions, IMO. What they did right before you was closed out their year-end fiscal year for the year of 2019. By them getting the books closed out, it allows them to change the rate this weekend. Pimpy. Our boy Zafari has stepped aside to let Al-Kazemi take the charge on the PM. I have to believe Zafari only gave up the opportunity to be PM to this guy Kazemi only because they happen to be on the same page. There is a lot of support for this guy. Let's hope that this guy is legitimate and he's there for the purposes of the Iraqi people. Article. TBI Trade Bank of Iraq announces capital increase to $3 billion under new 3-year strategic vision. There's a 3-year plan they're talking about. Between 2020 and 2023. We are in 2020. The rate change we are anticipating will happen this year. I've talked to a lot of people that deal in exchanges. These people said there are very rich people coming in and buying large amount, and not just because they're rich and just because they have the money to buy large amounts does not immune them from being stupid. What does it mean? Who knows? Does it mean anything? It's hard to say. We just think it's interesting. But more importantly is the fact that there's large financial institutions that are making a play on the Iraqi dinar. We're trying to figure out what that means. It might not mean anything to the common Joe, but who knows? We're about to find out. Markets. I've talked to all of my contacts and there is no new news. We are still in a holding period. They believe that the earliest we would see anything is the 13th or 14th. Nathan. I spoke to a very senior central banker and I asked him, look, what's this going on with the IQD? I said, I've run the numbers, I can't see how any of this stacks up, but there's obviously something going on. He said something to me that I found eye-opening. He said in real basic terms. If certain, I'm not going to name names, but he said if certain institution get together, do essentially a frame agreement, and they say the IQD is worth this and they all agree, then he said, Nathan, the IQD is worth that. Adam Montana. Article. After being assigned to form a government, Al-Kazemi makes 3 pledges to the people. Quote. As Kazemi pledged that the work his government is to solve crises and push the economy forward. Let's go, Al-Kazemi. I was eyeing the appointment of Zafi a little suspiciously. It didn't seem like a permanent thing. Maybe this is a shell game situation. Keep an eye on the ball. Which shell is it under? Muddy here, wait. Zafi here, no wait. Kazemi Kablami insert RV. Bruce, the big call. Via Wiser now. President Trump, from what I understand, once this started, I mean for us. Our exchanges started by the 17th, which is next Friday. The banker's sources are still in line for us to start with exchanges Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not calling it, just giving you what I'm hearing. Next Tuesday or Wed after Easter Sunday. Frank 26, Catfer. Article. Quote. It's the first time in the financial history of Iraq that the credit rating is entered among the countries of the world which reflected positivity, mostly in the stability, also in the yield levels. I'm not making this up, this is a definition of a fire. It's the American dollar and the Iraqi dinar doing this together. They aren't doing it by themselves. For them to come out and say we've got a new currency we're gonna introduce with a new rate, that's powerful, and with it close to that happening. There are 3 more announcements. 3 more issues ... but I think it's gonna be coming out rather rapid fire, a week, a month, Rapid fire. Nathan. Whatever this thing is, I'm not saying it's an RV. I'm not saying this is an RI. Whatever the play is on the IQD, and there is a play, there's no disputing that. By certain institutions. But to be fair, there has been for about 3 years now. There's been certain institutions positioning themselves in the IQD. Sizable positions. Would you say there's a lot more activity in 2019 that you ever seen before? The IQD activity revved up this year, beginning of this year at an institutional level, significantly above the institutional level that I was engaged with on my IQD transactions. In 2020 it started racing up big time. I'm more than confident whatever this thing is. Whether it's the GCR, whether it's an RV or RI, or whether it's a closed shop event reserved for the financial elites, top 25 banks and certain central banks in the world, I'm still very much confident it will be finished by the end of May. In a sense that whatever this thing is, some of it if not all of it will be public. That may take the form of people walking into their local Wells Fargo branch and converting their IQD or even their Vietnamese dong. I don't know. I don't claim to know. I take real-world data points from people I work with, people I transact with, and I take this and it's so compartmentalized, and some of the people who are literally at the coalface of this thing do not have a holistic overview of what's going on. They've been given a directive: do this. You do that. And why are we doing this? That's none of your business. As you Americans like to say, a need-to-know basis. It really is that compartmentalized. Pimpy. Whatever it is, RV, RI, float etc., it's obviously getting ready to happen here real soon. It just seems that way. There's something happening with the IQD. There's a play on it. There's a lot of activity involved in this. We don't know what it is. We'll see over time where this goes and where this lands. Sandif. IQD float now, devalue, then ride the tide back up. Just a thought. More than a thought, what the IMF would be looking for, some sort of 10-year plan. Ignore Caps Guru Caperoni's claim that most currencies around the world already float, so they are priced by supply and demand. Less than 50% of the world's currencies are on any kind of float, and most of those are on a managed float, certainly not managed by supply and demand. Militiaman. Catfer. Article quote. Customs duties were zeroed, and the facilities granted by the Central Bank of Iraq related to the strengthening of balances. On Thursday they zeroed the customs duties, so customs now being electronic and having zeroed them out, would that not suggest they are ushering in the new dinar, as once they've zeroed out the old, they electronically can, will or have had calibrated the electronic system for the new changes necessary for to bring in the new dinar. It sure looks like it. Chris C. The Central Bank of Iraq published a documentary film of its production on the history and story of the Iraqi currency. I just watched the video on the dinar and it is pretty evident based on the themes they were projecting that they are getting ready to do something that will appear bold and powerful. They went to lengths to show how they stood up to the main power in the region to become independent, and how, even during the US invasion, they protected the assets of the people and made sure they were safe. They wanted the people to see their strength and loyalty to the country of Iraq for a reason, and IMO, that would be a currency change. Nathan. I've never been put under an NDA. So when you hear all this, they're under an NDA. They'll be put under NDA. As far as I know, in this community I'm the only one that's actually transacted on IQD, and I've never once been put under NDA. This thing will come to an end within a couple of months. The end might not mean everybody walks away a millionaire. The end might mean you may only get a couple of pennies per IQD. Still a huge phenomenal return. What is it now, 1/10 of a penny? Are you telling me if there's an announcement made through the US Treasury or something that you have a period of 3 weeks to redeem your Iraqi dinar and they're offering you a set price of 3 cents, you're going to say, no, I'm going to wait? You know this is a conspiracy. It's gonna float and go to $3, really? That's a big risk. Because if you get off at 3 cents, I'll take it, because it just doesn't work like that. Jeff. I don't believe the rate will change as of this weekend. Iraq is the only country in the world to have shut down their stock exchange. That's huge. IMO, the rate did change. But it's only changed on the accounting books. It's not in the public realm. That is why Iraq had to shut down all their markets and also why they had to sneak in the last two currency auctions. They had to close out all the old accounting books for the fiscal year of 2019 before the rate could change. IMO the rate did change privately on the back end over the weekend of 3/21 and 3/22. I am not expecting anything this weekend. My next personal timer frame is next weekend. As long as they don't have any currency auctions, as long as the ISX stays closed. Why haven't we seen it yet? This is very simple. It's the coronavirus. They do not want us in the middle of the virus when it's hitting really high highs. They don't want us storming into the banks. That puts the bankers at tremendous risk. Those are the reasons why they are simply not allowing the rate to be publicly changed now. We're gonna see how long they keep extending this date-out quarantine date in Iraq. We're gonna follow the ISX. We're gonna see how long they keep that shut down. We're gonna follow the currency auctions to make sure they don't have more currency auctions. If they don't have any more currency auctions and the ISX stays closing, throughout this week you will not see any more currency auctions. We won't see any more until they publicly bring us the rate change. That will confirm everything I've shared. They have already changed the rate, but they have to hide it from you until they see the coronavirus numbers coming down to a low enough level to where it's safe for you and I to go into the banks and actually physically work with the bankers so they're not put at any kind of risk. Frank 26, Catfer. What did the video say? Video released by the CBI. They talked about their currency from the very beginning and laid it out step by step to where they're at now. With all due respect, who gives a squat about the history of a program rate currency for the last 17 years? You see the importance. The CBI currency history video is very powerful and is part of the trickling down of information we've been telling you about. In our opinion, these are the things that were to be laid out to the citizens and before they raised the value of their currency. It's here. The CBI is making it very clear to the citizens of Iraq. They're guaranteeing them there's a new currency coming. That video was so powerful. Rayren 98, TNT. Political analyst, Wasik al-Hashimi, confirmed on Saturday that the assignment of the new Prime Minister, Mustafa al-Kazemi, came with the blessing of the 7 Shiite forces and with the blessing of the United States, indicating that al-Kazemi initiated negotiations to form as government. The biggest obstacle to the negotiations is the coronavirus crisis and the budget for this year. Hezbollah brigades have come out against al-Kazemi, saying he's backed by USA and designed to have American influence. They are sanctioning billboards in refusal of al-Kazemi, saying he will have a difficult task passing. Francis Albert. Russia, Saudi Arabia, Mexico with US help reach historic deal to cut about 10 million barrels per day. So, if higher prices play into our investment, then oil prices will rise at the opening bell tomorrow. Iraqi dinar evaluation and global currency reset news. Dinar Chronicles. Courtesy of Dinar Gurus.